everyone, it's Jim. This is Marlowe's Independent Traders. A little bit of an unscheduled video actually. I was just filming some other footage for an upcoming vlog, and while I was doing it I stumbled across Peter's video, the vinegar jar, and it kind of stems from a debate that a few of us were having. Like, I was in the chat and there was a fatal four-way from Kieran Rummage Around. If you're not familiar with their channels, I'll link them in the description. But the kind of chat that this fatal four-way were having was all about charity shops. So basically the crux of the argument is, and you know, Peter does a way better job than I'll attempt to explain it here, is would charity shops make more money by pricing lower and then increasing their volume of sales? Now, I kind of wanted to weigh in on this because I think it's an interesting topic, and I think we can kind of all be forgiven as resellers to think, well, of course charity shops should lower their prices because we would do better out them as resellers. I source very little from charity shops. To be honest, most of the year I don't even bother going in them. I might do a bit of window shopping, but I know that I'm not going to find a great deal, and the things that I do find will be overpriced. So it's kind of if I'm passing, if I'm struggling that week for sourcing. But anyway, like, I've kind of got a bit of a background in retail, and I think it's interesting to see things from the kind of charity shop's point of view in this, because I think if you go and watch Peter's video, he's absolutely right. I'm not here to lambast Peter or to say anything that he says is not true at all. I think the simple answer to that question is, of course, if charity shops put their prices down, their volume of sales would increase. Would that have cause an upward trend in profit? Probably. Certainly, because their items are basically free. So I think Peter gives the example of selling one pair of shoes at 20 versus 10 pairs at 5. And I know those numbers were plucked, but he's probably not far off. Absolutely, I think charity shops would be more profitable if they sold more items at a lower cost. But I think and it's easy for us to say because essentially we are retailers, right? We retail online just via the medium of eBay, and I think we've all seen that there is a fine balance between achieving the right price for an item and lowering the price to just get things gone, to get turnover in and profit in, and to get that profit in quicker. Of course, if you leave an item on for 6 months, you might achieve £100, but you might get 80 within a month and then be able to flip that a few more times and get more long-term profit. So I think we see that model, we see it works, and it's easy for us to say charity shops should do the same. I think the difference that charity shops have, even though their stock is essentially free, it's not guaranteed, and I know we've all seen charity shops turn away stock, but charity shops can't guarantee the stock they have. So would it be in their interest to absolutely run through stock really quickly to get profit in? I don't know, because they can't guarantee that there is a constant influx of stock coming in. What happens if their stock dries up? Do they then basically have an empty shop that they're still paying for? I think the other big problem, I think probably the biggest barrier to this model from a charity shop's point of view, is their staff as well. Now, the obvious counter argument to this is they've got a huge army of volunteers, right, that come in, that basically kind of durdle around, don't really know how to work the till. They're we've all been in charity shops, right? We know what how productive staff are in a charity shop versus in another kind of high street retailer. However, so like if I was the manager of a charity shop, would I want all the team there to just be kind of durdling around, or would I be saying come on, let's lower the prices and I want you guys all to kind of sell? And that's probably the right thing to do, but is it something that charity shops can do given that their staff is 100% volunteers? If your staff base is, except for the manager or maybe an assistant manager in a bigger shop, volunteers, if you start pushing them to kind of make 5 times the number of sales as they were previously, that's 5 times the amount of work you're asking for people. In that instance, are the volunteers going to want to do that anymore? Would they all leave? And given that your stock comes in via donation, I won't pretend I know the full process behind, it coming in, landing on a bag in the front door to it, being put out on the rack. But I'm sure there's a process I'm sure there are steps in that process, whether it's got to be checked, then steamed, then priced, then put out on the rack, then a physical transaction happens to sell that. If you have to do that, using Peter's example, 5 more times or 10 more times to sell those pairs of shoes, all of a sudden the amount of workload in your shop goes up way higher. Now, can you do that with a volunteer army of mainly elderly staff? I don't know, and I think that's probably what the biggest barrier is to charity shops operating on that low-cost, high-volume model. I think if charity shops had fully hired staff base in, of course they could do that, because then the manager could be absolutely cracking the whip and saying, look staff, I need you to increase this volume of sales. It doesn't matter if transaction amount is going down, I need you to make 10 transactions for every one that we were making. So cost it low and sell. Get the stock out, get it through. But can you really make those demands of a volunteer staff base? Now, I know, you might see them doing nothing in a shop, but, at the end of the day, they're volunteers. Do we really want to push them and then they might run away? So, do we operate that low-cost, high-volume model and risk of either running out of stock altogether or running out of staff? Or do they do what they're doing at the moment, which is high-cost, low-volume, make a little bit less profit, but keep the volunteers readily happy? I'm pretty sure most of the volunteers either just want to give a little bit back to that charity. I'm sure there's a social element to it as well for a number of these people. I just think that there is a reason, right? I've got a little bit of experience of working with and kind of frontline experience of charities, and let me tell you one thing, these guys know how to make money, right? These are absolute experts in separating people from their money for their cause, and that's why their executives get paid so much money. So I'm sure if we're all thinking it, they certainly know that there's a different model to be operated here. And I don't know whether my reasons are correct, but I just kind of wanted to present an ulterior reality to that we that we all think, because of course, like, I'm in the same boat. If I had a shop, I would be thinking the same as Peter and many other people, thinking I would rather sell things a little bit lower and increase the transactions to maximize my profit, because that's how I'd want to operate my business. But I think that there are other sensitivities around charity shops in particular, because of where their stock comes from and because of the fragility of their workforce, that means they just can't operate that model. But again, this is only my opinion, and it's not to say that that's not the right thing to do at all. It's just presenting a bit of devil's advocate and possibly why charity shops are going down this route. It's not something that I support. Obviously, I'd love charity shops to be cheaper and for them to sell high volume, because I'd do way better out of it and probably go back in them. But just sort of kind of present that as a differing opinion and possibly why they do what they do. I can't really think of many other reasons, but that kind of makes sense to me. So let me know what you think, and if you've got a differing opinion, feel free to put it in the comment or upload your own video. All right, thanks very much.